Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. We're gonna be talking about my October TBR this month, and I am so excited. October is usually my favorite reading month, not only for all of the vibes, like the spooky season, stuff like that, Halloween, all that kind of stuff, but just like the changing of the leaves. It is literally the best season ever. This is the culmination of the year, okay, for the reading girlies out there. And I am absolutely no exception to that. I love October. So I'm so excited to be talking to you about this list of books I have. This is not a small list by any means, and I fully am aware that I will not be able to read all of the books on the TBR. I typically conduct my TBRs more of like a want to read rather than a have to read, so I have probably a list of like 9 books on here that I'm interested in reading in the month of October, but I'm definitely not going to be reading all of these books. It's just going to be a handful of them. As you also saw by the title of this video, I'm going to be attempting to participate in SPOOKOPLATHON, which is a readathon, a very low-key chill readathon, which is exactly what I need this month. Hosted by Becca from Becca and the Books. I love Spookopoly. It is literally one of the reasons I got into BookTube. She is one of my favorite creators out there, and I just love her content so much. And I've participated in Spookoplathon before, but I've never specifically participated in SPOOKOPLATHON, which is kind of like a spooky themed Bookopoly. If you don't know what Bookopoly is or SPOOKOPLATHON, I'm gonna leave the links down below. Basically, Becca used to do this TBR game based off of Monopoly a long time ago, where there's a board that's kind of like Monopoly and you roll and pick prompts and whatnot. So she's doing a very low-key chill round of the readathon for this month, and I'm gonna be super busy this month. I have 2 weddings and we're going camping, so it's like a big, like, just to-do month again. My life never slows down. And I'm gonna be taking kind of like the mood reading option, or basically the roll as you go option. So after I talk about all the books on my TBR, I'm going to do the first roll, and then I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be vlogging throughout this month, and I will be rolling as I go throughout the month. Fingers crossed I can actually uphold to that. We're just like traveling locally, so hopefully I will still be able to have time to read amidst all of the wedding fun. So without further ado, let's just get into the books. Guys, I want to start off with the one that I am like, literally, after this video, after I edit and upload it, all I'm doing is going to be reading this book. And while it's still September right now, I'm guessing I'm going to be reading this into October, but that is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. Like, I can't physically read another book in my life without reading this first. Like, I don't even care what thing I roll at the beginning of SPOOKOPLATHON. I'm going to be reading the Sally Rooney book first before literally anything else, even if it doesn't match up with the prompt, okay? The fact that there is a new Sally Rooney book in the world, I have been awakened. I have been rose from the dead. Like, truly, this is everything I could ever want in my reading life. If you can't tell, I'm a huge Sally Rooney fan, okay? Normal People is arguably one of my favorite books I've ever read. Sally Rooney is probably my favorite author of all time. Like, I live and breathe for her writing. Intermezzo, I don't honestly know a ton about it, and I don't really want to know too much about it because I just want to experience it. All I do know is that it's about 2 brothers and their father has passed away, and I think that they're dealing with the grief of that. And they both live in Ireland. That's all I need to know. I started reading it a few days ago, and I've literally on like page like 10 or 12 or something, and I already like tears welling up in my eyes. I'm gonna go through it with this book. I am filming a dedicated reading vlog just reading this book, so like watch out for that. I was in Barnes & Noble a few days ago when I was picking this book up, and someone had already read it there. Like, I don't know, I literally picked it up on release day and she was like, I think that's the best book Sally Rooney's ever written. So just be prepared. Be prepared. Okay, I'm preparing my soul. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna have a time. Like, I don't want to hear anything about it other than that. Also, there was a podcast that she did from the New York Times recently, from The Daily. It is so good. Would encourage you to listen to it. I'm leaving the link down below. I need to stop rambling about her because I love her so much, and all you need to know is this is the first book I'm reading this month. No matter what, there is no exception. I am reading this book in October. Next book on my TBR is one that I've had for years. I finally have the nerve to read it, okay? And that is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Daniel Whiskey. Now, I am thinking to myself, am I actually going to read this book? Because I've had this book for probably 2 or 3 years, and I've always been actually scared to read it. I am the type of person who I enjoy thrillers, like scary movies, scary TV shows in very, very small doses. Literally 1 time a year, I will watch a minimally scary TV show, and that's about it. Like The Haunting of Hill House, or like, you know, those like Netflix series they put out around this time this year. I will give myself one of those shows, and that is all. And this year, I would like to substitute that Netflix show for The House of Leaves, okay? I am actually scared to read this book because I'm scared it's gonna give me nightmares. I think this is about a haunted house. I know it's a very interactive read. Like, there's different types of text, like there's upside down text. It's like a non-traditional published book in the way that it's written. Like, there's columns and like, I don't know, it's an interactive reading experience, but I'm pretty sure it's about a haunted house. I don't want to read too much into it, or else I think I'm gonna get scared enough to not read the book and choose to not read it. So fingers crossed we actually get to this one this month. I've had this book for years, like I said, and I don't want to ever unhaul it until I try it once. Next book on my October TBR, and one that I definitely will be getting to this month. Again, it's another literary fiction, and that is Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. This is Coco Mellors' sophomore book release, or her second book release. And this was actually picked for my book club. I have an in-person book club with a handful of my friends and family, and we have a book club at the end of the month, and this one was the one that was chosen. I believe I am truly going to cry at this one again. Can you see a theme with the literary fiction, with the crying? Like, it is sad girl autumn over here on Kara's bookshelf, and I'm fully embracing the vibe. Blue Sisters is about a family of 4 girls, and one of the sisters has passed away, and all of these girls are basically reuniting for their sister's funeral, and that is enough to bring tears to my eyes. So if you are someone who has a sister, I would bet this book is gonna have a major impact on you. Even just from the first words of this book, I almost cried. The way that Coco Mellors, even just in the first paragraph, described the relationship of sisters, it's just like so beautiful, so heartwarming. Literally from the first sentence, I just know that this book is going to absolutely emotionally destroy me and have the potential to be one of my favorite books of this year, probably one of my favorite books of all time if it's done well. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. Also, this is the signed edition too, so love it. Okay, next up on my October TBR is another new release, and that is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is the follow-up book to House in the Cerulean Sea. I read House in the Cerulean Sea probably back in 2020 now, and it's honestly one of my favorite books. The concept of that book was so well done to me. It's like a middle grade for adults. It gave me the vibes and the feeling of when I first got into reading, of when I first discovered like magical worlds and like all of that kind of stuff. It just like helped restore the wonder in me that I had when I was a kid. And I was reading an adult book, right? So this is the follow-up to House in the Cerulean Sea. It follows the same cast of characters, and this is one of my most anticipated releases from the year. I know I want to get into it and read it as well, and I got the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It's so cute. Basically, what House in the Cerulean Sea was about is it follows this kind of like grumpy old guy. He's pretty jaded from his day-to-day working life, and he gets recruited. He's like a child protection services, or like magical child protective services agent or something like that. And he ends up getting recruited to this house by the Cerulean Sea. And essentially he goes from this being this major curmudgeon to just this, like, you see him blossom throughout House in the Cerulean Sea and come into kind of just like more of an emotional person who's more in touch with his feelings, and you like just see his heart just break open. It's like, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. So I really, really want to continue on with the next book in that, I guess, series. Next book I'm interested in reading in October is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This is a new release. It just recently came out in September. And it sounds like it's about a necromancer needing help from a dangerous phantom to win a deadly competition, only to find their partnership puts her at risk of breaking the game's most vital rule, don't fall in love. So we got necromancer, we got fantasy romance, we got enemies to lovers, and there's a haunted house aspect on top of it. Literally, I'm sold. I'm sold. It sounds like there's a competition and the winner ends up getting a wish, and the only way for this main character to save her sister is to be able to get granted this wish. I don't know. There's like a huge competition to it. The cover is stunning, and literally I wanted to read this book just off of the cover vibes alone. But it really feels like this book fits the October vibes of like witchy, spooky season, like magical kind of vibe like that. And I don't know. I really don't know much about this book, but I saw the cover on Goodreads and I saw my friend read it and rated it 4 stars, and I was like, I think I want to add that to my October TBR. So sorry I don't know much about it, but maybe you've heard some other hype on the internet about it. I'm just here for it based on literally the concepts alone. Next book on my October TBR is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I have been interested in reading this book for a very long time, and finally I've been pushed to do it. I'm really in a magical school, dark academia kind of vibe, along with the spooky season vibe, and like, it's just all into one. Do you know what I mean? Legendborn is a YA dark academia type of book. You're following our main character, Bree Matthews, who is a very smart 16-year-old who goes to UNC Chapel Hill. Basically, she gets recruited to the secret society of Legendborn students who hunt down magical creatures that feed on human energies. And there's mages, and I don't know. I've just heard such good things about this. I've heard people read this book in like days. It's just like super quick read, and you get really engaged and like sucked into the story right away. One of like my favorite tropes in a book is a magical school and like secret societies. And while UNC Chapel Hill is not not an actual magical school, we got the magical elements of this like secret magical society. So I have heard literally nothing but great things about it. I feel like it is way overdue that I need to read this book. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting to this if I do. Next book I'm interested in reading is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This book has taken fantasy romance booktube by storm. Literally everyone has been reading this book. Everyone has been raving about this book. Everyone's been giving it 5 stars. It is everywhere for me, okay? If you're not on fantasy romance booktube or book talk or anything like that, maybe you haven't heard about it, but like literally it's in every single post that I see. As far as what this book is about, it's like the typical fantasy romance tropes, okay? Young girl who doesn't have any money and is pickpocketing people, finds herself in a fae world, and then there's this like really hot guy who like kills everyone or something along those lines, and she ends up like having an enemies to lovers romance with them. There's fae, there's alchemy, there's swords. I don't know. I mean, it's literally got everything I ever want. And I have no doubt that I'm probably going to read this book based on the fact that so many people that I love and trust with book opinions have loved this book. Really hoping to get to this book soon. I just have been wanting to read it for months, and I just need to like get through a handful of books that I've been like on my immediate TBR, and I'm really, really hoping I can read this one this month. I think I will fly through it if I'm able to get to it. Okay, next up, honestly, this one's a pipe dream, guys. I genuinely don't think I will read this one this month, but like it's giving me the vibes that I want for October. So I'm putting it on the list, all right? That is Empire the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. You guys, I literally have like 5 to 6 books over 500 pages on this TBR. There is 0 chance that I'm getting to all of these this month. Like actually 0 chance. But you know what? A girl can dream. A vampire fantasy sounds great to me right now. Like I think that would be so fun. I don't want to reread Twilight anytime soon, but I would be interested in reading this. It sounds like it's an epic fantasy based around vampires, and that's really all I need to know. If I end up fitting this book into Spookoplathon, I would not be upset, but like genuinely this would probably take me the entire month to read. Like I'm really telling you, I don't think I'm gonna read it, but I would love to if I somehow found the time. Also, this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and like, holy shit. Are you kidding me? I don't know. I've had this book for so long, and I know a bunch of people love this series, and like, why haven't I read it? So do you see a theme here? I haven't read a lot of books that everyone loves, and that's a crime. Okay, and last book is actually one that I'm already reading. I'm like basically 25% into it, but I wanted to include it anyways. That is Morningstar by Pierce Brown. This is the 3rd book in the Red Rising series. I'm listening to this on audio right now, and haha, what a ride this is. Like, what a ride this series has been. It's outrageous. Every page has a twist and turn. There is no consistency at all. You never know what's around the corner, and it's just incredible. Basically, Red Rising series, I feel like I've talked about it ad nauseum, and the booktube community has talked about this book ad nauseum, but it's like basically about, it's like Game of Thrones in space. That's all you need to know. It's truly incredible. If you love epic fantasy, if you love Game of Thrones style, like fantasy stuff like that, but you want a space setting, just read this book. It is outrageous. Like, I have never read a series that is so unpredictable as this book is. Like, literally no one is safe. Everyone is dying. The worlds are flipped on its head every other page. I've never been on a roller coaster of a ride like I have with this series. So I'm definitely gonna be finishing this book in October, but I just wanted to give it a shout out because I'm probably, yeah, like I said, 25% in and will be finishing it in October, hopefully. The audiobook is great too if you're interested in reading it, but like don't want to physically read it. Audiobook slaps. That narrator is amazing. Okay, now that we have talked about all the books that I want to read for this month, let's move on to this part that I was so excited for this video. And that is the first Spookoplathon roll. So, dear Lord, please make it a prompt that intermezzo can correlate with. Also, do I have a printer? No. Do I have printed out chance cards? No. But do I have 2 dice in a dream? Absolutely, I do. I'm just gonna put the board on the screen and we'll do the first roll together. So shall we? Without further ado, please be one that I can do intermezzo for. Ready? Here we go. We got a 5. 5. Do you see that? It is a 5. Oh, I gotta bring this up close to my face to actually see it because I think I'm losing my eyesight. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pumpkin carving, what does that mean? Pumpkin carving. Read a book with a face on the cover. You can include covers with whole people on, but just their faces and non-human faces. Does intermezzo have a face on the cover? Does it? I know it has a checkerboard, but I don't know if it has a face. Here we go, moment of truth. Ooh, it's got the outline of people. Does that count? I'm gonna clarify that this works. TBH, y'all, I don't know if it counts. I don't know. I just watched the video and she was like, you can have a whole person as long as they have a face. These people, the people turned to the side, you can see like a nose and mouth, and they do have faces, but obviously these are shadows, right? So it's not like they have like the face is like specifically on the person, but like they have a face. The shadow, it has a face. Okay, so here's my plan. So today is September 28th. My plan is to continue on reading this book throughout tonight and tomorrow. I really have no idea how far I'm going to get into it, but I really just want to focus on reading this book this weekend because I just want to read this book so bad. If I end up carrying a large amount of it into October, then I'm gonna just count it for the first one, okay? I'm just going to count it and that's just gonna be what it is. If I end up reading it and finishing it in time, then I will move on to Coco Mallore's Blue Sisters and use this as my first prompt for Spookoplathon. So while this is not a spooky book or anything, I do need to read this for my book club, which is coming up in October. So I think this would be a perfect prompt for it. One of these two going to be reading a lit fic for my first one. So that concludes the TBR for this month. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a pumpkin down below if you've made it this far because it's fall, it's the best season, and watch out for some of the vlogs coming this month for Spookoplathon and for intermezzo. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!